Welcome to Roots and Roofs, where we explore the intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship in the real estate world. I am your host, Mackenzie Shelton. Join us as we dive into the unique journey of balancing family life with owning a thriving real estate business. Each episode, we will uncover inspiring stories, practical tips, mindset conversations, and expert insights from others who are carving their paths in the real estate industry. Whether you are a seasoned realtor, a prospective buyer, or simply curious about the dynamics of managing both home and career, Roots and Roofs is your go-to podcast for heartfelt discussions and invaluable advice. Tune in and discover how these incredible women are building deep roots from the ground up while nurturing their families under the same roof. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I have a super special guest with me today. We have not even gotten to know each other that well, but when I met you in December, I was like, oh, I got to have her on my podcast. So Jen Gomez is here with us, and I am going to let you introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you, Mackenzie. Well, it was such a gift to meet you in December. Similarly, when you asked if I could be on your podcast, I was like, give me the scope. And as soon as you sent it to me, I was like, yes, hard yes, 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 yes. Women, business, love it. Leadership, authority, let's do it. So I'm Jen Gomez, never a Jenny. Okay. Jenny's, I will very kindly respond to, but secretly I will lock you away into the people who didn't call me Jen. Jennifer, it's fine. Became an entrepreneur really when I was born. I was a stage actor for years. Loved, loved, loved the stage. But I will say I wasn't one of those theater kids that just like had theater on nonstop. I really loved the psychology and the interaction and improvisation of it all, which transitioned really nice into my leadership roles. So I was an actor until I graduated college, so spent a lot of time on the stage and then moved out to LA and kind of stumbled into leadership positions. And so scaled my leadership roles in Los Angeles, moved out to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where continued to scale my leadership. And in my most recent role, I was the right hand to the First Lady of Louisiana in the executive office. And so after that contract ended, I became a full-time entrepreneur, coaching, consulting. My company name is The Joyful Strategist, and I help women really crush their fears and step into their authority, especially under pressure. It's all rooted in joy, something that we don't give ourselves permission to really tap into enough as a competitive advantage. And so that is my goal. I've used it my whole life, and now I'm here to teach other women how to use it too.
I love that so much. So because your work centers around joy as a leadership strategy, how did you first kind of discover that that could be a competitive advantage in business and life? Like, where did that originate from?
Well, Mackenzie, first of all, I did not realize that that's what I was doing. And it wasn't until I took the leap as an entrepreneur and said, I want to keynote speak. I want to write a book. I always knew that I wanted to impact others. I always wanted to change lives. But I will be honest, I was very overwhelmed with how I was going to do it. And so for the first year and a half of owning this business, I was just spiraling, trying to help everybody with all of these different things. And I kind of collapsed, emotionally, physically, nervous system wise. And I was like, I just need an answer of what I'm supposed to do with all of this. And everyone around me was like, Jen, you have to talk about joy. You have to talk about joy. You have to. And I said, no. I was like, absolutely not. Nobody's going to take me seriously. Joy? That is like, I already look like a Disney princess. I cannot talk about joy. That is just too funny. And they said, just try it. My coaches, my husband, my colleagues, people I was coaching, they were like, Jen, you have to talk about how you are able to root yourself in joy no matter what. And so then I said, fine, I'll do it. And so I changed my entire platform and I began this self-discovery, honestly, Mackenzie, of how I had been able to go through some of the darkest moments of my life. I had no parental assistance when I was graduating high school. I was living with a best friend. put myself through college. Really, my entire career, I was driven for success. Thank you, childhood trauma. But driven through I was driven for success, right? Like most high performers with childhood trauma do. And every moment that was so stressful or crucial for other people, it wasn't so bad for me. I rooted myself in what brought me the most joy. What what is really what feels natural to me, what feels calming to me. And that's what I would lean into over and over and over. And everything else I would just let fade away. And so I started to discover, okay, what were some of the tactics that I would do during some of the most stressful times in my life? And why do I believe that I was a better leader because of it? Why do I believe that I got some of the roles that I was able to achieve because of it? Because let me tell you, it was not because I was the smartest crayon in the box, right? But because I had this energy, this presence, and it was truly this optimistic delusion of I can, and I will. And it's fascinating that so many of us are rooted in fear of rejection. So many. I think it's 80% of humans are rooted in a fear of rejection. And so a lot of us are not stepping outside of the comfort zone to take the action that would essentially bring us more joy or that would allow us to have more joy and enjoy our lives more. Kind of going down a rabbit hole here, but the root of the word enjoy, right, which is the goal of life, is to enjoy our lives. The root of the word enjoy is to make or create joy. It is not given, it is intentional, and you have to create boundaries. You have to you have to really be mindful about what is duplicating my joy and what is dissolving my joy. And when you have that reflection, that moment of gosh, I am very unhappy, and happiness and joy are very different, right? But happiness is a component of it. And if you're very unhappy, it's time to make some changes. And so when I really realized how powerful it could be to teach women to find joy, to root themselves in joy, and to use that as a tactic in success, I mean, it changed the game. I was able to help women. Well, that's still what I do today. I'm able to help women compare fear to fact. I'm able to help women identify what's bringing them the most joy, how to really have them step into their power and their authority because they're rooted in joy and not in fear.
Oh, that is so good. Uh, it's interesting that you and I met. We can talk about this. So you and I met attending a book camp that helps you figure out how to write a book, right? And it's interesting that you and I, our paths cross because a lot of what I do is not exactly the same, but it kind of runs parallel. In the real estate industry, I'm coaching, teaching, training a lot of agents to get past the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, right? And a lot of that has to do with like how are we helping people to the best of our ability and helping them achieve their goals, and then that's actually what brings us joy and fulfillment and all of those things. And I'm going to kind of write a book about being a recovering perfectionist and how to, kind of overcome some of that, and how I've been able to do that. So let's talk about what your. It sounds like maybe your book was going to be called Live by Design, but maybe it's not anymore. So kind of tell everybody what it's going to be about and why you're maybe changing the title of it.
Yes, yes. Well, congrats on your book, and I cannot wait to read it. We'll have to do a book swap. Um,
Yes.
I've been writing since I was young. I was always a journaler. I blogged a little bit in college. I was so like somebody out there is going to care about what I'm doing in my life. like even if it's just one person. And I had a couple of subscribers. Like little did I know that I should have just stayed as a blogger because that would have been like 20 years. I probably could have had a really substantial business now. And
Seriously.
but
Yes.
but yeah, blogged a lot, journaled a lot, and love conversational writing. And it just is very easy for me. And so I knew that I was always going to write a book, but I really wasn't quite sure what the book was going to be. And to be quite honest, I thought it was going to be about my life, as we all probably do. It's like, oh, I have to tell my life story. Well, people care about your life story, but they really care about what's in it for them. How can it transform them? How can your story transform the reader? How can you make the reader the hero? And so when I first decided to write a book, I went to book camp actually a few years ago. And it was right when I had started my business. And y'all, when I say that sometimes my own lack of fear scares me sometimes because I just dive head first and I'm like, yeah, that brings me joy. Let's go. And so I joined this huge mastermind where it was a year-long program and it was keynote speaking, book writing, creating a coaching business. I'm so glad that I did that. If you are someone who is looking for support, 10 out of 10, get a coach. 10 out of 10. Find somebody who connects with you, that cares about your success, and find out what you want and make sure that they are able to get it for you in the time frame they're able to get it for you in. But I'm so glad that I invested in a coach early on. It really was the success of my business was because I invested so quickly. Even though everyone around me was like, Jen, you are absolutely insane. I was like, also, I'm going to be successful. So I might be crazy, but I'm going to make this work. So there was no other option. Like I wasn't going back to work. Well, going back to someone else's work, right? But so I joined this mastermind, went to boot camp, and I was determined. And at boot camp, they at the time were like, pick a title because when you pick a title, the book kind of has more wings. Like it comes to life when you pick a title. So the title was Live by Design, taking you from leader to legend. And it really is the same concept, right? It is deciding to live in a life that you enjoy. It is deciding to not let joy become a feeling, but rather a state of being. It is by choice, it is by design. Now, when you do that, you are not just becoming a leader, but you are becoming legendary. You are creating legacy because you are taking your authority and choosing not to root it in fear or anger or really imposter syndrome or any of those negative emotions. You're not choosing to live there. You're choosing to live in a higher road. It's kind of high road, high capacity leadership that we're talking about. So the year went on. I did a lot of interviewing, a lot of collecting for the book, but the book never happened. And so about a year later, I had an opportunity to go back to boot camp, which that's where we met. And for some reason, just these words kept coming into my mind. And I also was having this identity shift of, am I a leader? Am I not?
Mm.
I felt like I was a leader when I was the director of operations for the executive office of the governor. I felt like I was a leader when I was VP, high level sales, whatever position I was. But I didn't feel like a leader now. So I didn't feel like I had the authority to write a book on leadership, nor did I
Mm.
need to write a or have a podcast on leadership. And this is where it clicked. I'm about to launch a podcast, and the woman that's helping me with some of the semantics of it, she's like, okay, we need to put leadership in there. And I said, no, I'm not a leader. Yet I run a very successful coaching and consulting business. And she said, Jen, you're a leader. And it was in that moment that I was like, okay, I need to write a book on leadership, but I don't necessarily need to have leader in the title. And I need this book to be for any woman who feels like she's a leader, but maybe doesn't define herself as one yet, like a mom, right? Golly, are moms leaders? The definition of leadership, y'all, is a person who people follow. Or outside of an organization. Children are following you like you are a leader, right? If your spouse or your puppies are like people, every single person can have a component of leadership within them. So I shifted away from live by design, taking you from leader to legend, and I rooted it in something that was calling me, that was more in alignment with what I was going through and what I had been through in my life. And so I'm calling it joy in the chaos. And it's how to make decisions faster and still keep your authority when there are times of crisis, which then goes
My
back.
gosh, I feel like this is so perfect for you. I'm sorry to interrupt. I almost got chills, Jen. That is so good. I love that. All right,
Thank
sorry. Keep going. Keep going.
you. It just is, and I can just see it. I can see the title. I can see the book. I've already started. The first three chapters are written. The 10 chapters are all mapped out. I feel so much more connected to this book than I ever was in that one. And it just really amazed me that for so long, I think I put myself in this box of what leadership was supposed to be. And there was so much discomfort there, Mackenzie. Really, there was so much discomfort. And I remember it so clearly that the day that I decided to let a little bit of myself come out was the day that I built more influence up and laterally and down, like within the organization. I saw
Yeah.
day. And so, really, it was me deciding to find a little more joy, a little more spark, bring a little bit of authenticity, right? Authenticity, which is such a gray area word. Like, what does it mean to be authentic in the workplace? Like, it doesn't mean that you're flailing all over the place or lying down and but can you bring a bit of joy, a little bit of spark, a little bit of optimism and kindness into the workplace. I mean, it just, especially in those times of complete chaos, it completely transforms the team as well as at home too. It's just like, okay, guys, let's take a moment. Let's take a moment. So there's this framework that I've created that will be in the book. And Mackenzie, I don't know about you, but dissecting things that you do unintentionally is probably one of the hardest things you will ever do, right? So I'm sitting here thinking like, okay, how did Mel Robbins come up with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? It's like, I'm like, how do I teach people how to breathe? How do I teach people how to think optimistically and to find kindness in the moment and gratitude in the moment? And it just hit me, and it's reflect, align, commit, which is the joy method. So I go deeper into each section in the book, but it's something that's easy and it's something that's duplicatable and it's something that anyone can use at any moment when they're feeling so overwhelmed and they need to realign, reconnect, step back into that position of authority with ease and clarity and confidence.
Oh, that is so good. I can't wait to read it. Really. This is I need this in my life, right? Doesn't everybody, you know?
Sweet.
Oh, that is so good. So, since you work with leaders and executives and entrepreneurs and stuff, how are you maybe helping like use this framework within your own coaching and teaching and training and things like that? What does that look like for you right now? Is it still kind of exploratory, or have you kind of come up with something?
Yeah, I first of all love coaching. I do. I love it. And it just goes back to I think I was a coach my whole life. I was always the person that was like, Jen, can we talk? Like, yeah, we can talk. We can talk, right? Just being a good listener and being strategic in the responses and strategic in the questioning. But, when I was really first wanting to be a coach and a consultant, I remember it was back in gosh, probably 2013, I was like, this is what I want to do. And somebody told me, you're too young. So that was 13 years ago. I'll be 40 this year. So that was, I was 34. No, 24. I was
Before.
I was 24. I was like, math is mathing.
Right? It's okay. It's okay. It's not my strong suit either.
He was like, "You're too young," and I'm glad that they told me that. But also at the same time, the career that I could have if I just stuck with it. But um, but now what I do, at the very beginning when I had that opportunity to start this business, I just said, "What are your goals? We're going to work through them." And that was it. And I was just this new coach that would help people for 3 months for $1,500. And when I got my first client, I was like, oh my gosh, this is working. And I would just map it out. I'm great at operations and strategic planning. And so I was like, I'm just going to help them get to their goals, which obviously now, years later, I have much more of a framework and much more of a way that I deliver results for clients. But you know, different people come to me for different things, but they all root into the same framework of being so afraid to give themselves permission to take the action that needs to happen. And so, really, I look at the joy method as a decision making framework of being able to calm yourself in the moment and realign with either the leader that you want to be, but maybe you're not there yet, right? So we do a lot of capacity expansion work. What I've found in, let's say, under the umbrella of joy, there are so many different things that are keeping people from getting to that level. And if I could really, I guess, boil it down to two different sections, it would be that permission of intense decision making quickly, and then also the leadership capacity. I've been doing a lot of capacity and nervous system work with my clients because
Mm.
it's fascinating that we have this lid of capacity, not only of what are able to give, but also of what we are able to receive. And I'll give you a really silly good example, but we have a nanny that is watching our kids. And we were talking about this earlier, how difficult it is to find good people to work for you. My kids are 10 and 6. And I mean, it brings tears to my eyes when I think about how just unreal this person is. I'm like, you are not real. You are not. And I had this moment, I was like, my capacity needs to be expanded to be able to receive something this good into our lives because I'm not used to having something that good, that abundant, that joyful in my life. So therefore, I'm deterring it. I'm like, this isn't real. This is something's going to go wrong. Something's going to happen because I have never experienced it in my life before. So if you're a business owner, let's say that you're making, an easy 6 figures a year and you want to get to 7 figures, you have never experienced that before. So your capacity to receive that is going to block you unless you do some expansion work of being able to receive something like that. Because even if you're on the way strategically, there's going to be things that limit your action because your capacity is not expanded enough to be able to receive something like that. Your nervous system is going to get all discombobulated because you're like, wait a minute. I've only been in stress and fear. This joy and comfort feels uncomfortable. This isn't right. Something's something's going to drop. And in reality, it's only going to drop because your capacity is telling you that it's going to drop because you've never experienced anything like that before. And so that safety, that regulation, that permission to feel safe, that is what equates to your amount of success that you're going to be able to reach in your career.
Oh, that's so true. I was thinking of like the law of the lid.
Yes.
Um, I was thinking of I'm very close with Diana Kokoska at this point, being in a mastermind group with her. And I always think about how she talks about the RAS, reticular activating system, right? And how our brain looks for familiar patterns and things like that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. When you have a desire to get to that next level, it's not just like, okay, here's all these practical steps of exactly how to get there. It's more about who are we becoming as a person in order to be able to receive the things that we want. Yeah, I love that.
About that on,
No.
let's say, mid-level mid-level manager level, right? I never heard that kind of terminology when I was coming up in my leadership. I never heard that, oh, you're burning out or you're stressing out because you're not doing these things or you are doing these things. And so this book is really to, and the coaching that I do, whether my clients want to hear it or not, but it's to hold up a mirror instead of looking out the window. It's to point the finger toward instead of pointing the finger away. And over and over, I've just seen this. I started in kind of strategic coaching, helping give strategy to clients that needed clarity. And that shifted into, I still do that on a higher level, but there are a lot of people who need that foundational work first. And so I actually created a group cohort where for 8 weeks, we do a lot of that alignment work. We do a lot of the foundational, what's bringing you joy? What's stealing it away? How does time management and boundaries factor into all of that? The capacity expansion work, right? It's all those internal things that we don't ever give time to work on because I noticed that the strategy that I was giving my clients, they were getting blocked from the action to do it because they weren't having confidence in themselves. They didn't have the capacity. And so after a year and a half, I was like, okay, I'm done. Creating something for y'all to go through first, and then we'll go into the strategy. Because I will say, and I heard this the other day, I loved it. Um, there's science in success. Strategy is the easy part. You can create strategy all day long, right? A plus B equals C. But there is an art in fulfillment.
Mm,
That is the hardest part. It is an art. You have to be an artist. You can't just be a scientist. Sometimes it doesn't make sense because it's creative,
yeah,
innovative, it's intuitional. You have to work on the foundational components before you can implement the big level strategy. And I had to learn that the hard way because I was seeing results with my clients, but it wasn't the results that they were asking for at the front end, which were massive, let me tell you. And like I want to go from 0 to 1 million in 12 months, which is great. That's 10 100,000s. Okay. Let's just remind ourselves of that. But are you willing to do this discipline versus devotion? Are you willing to be devoted to that strategy every single day from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed? Because if you're not, then you will not hit it, which then will destroy your self-trust, and you won't want to try to have those big goals again. So it's been really interesting going through the journey of how to really help people get this transformation on such a molecular level so that they can actually get the lives that they want, which again is that umbrella of joy. Like
yeah.
things are meant to be enjoyed, and too many people are spending their days so stressed out, so worried, so angry, so frustrated. I want you to choose to be the outlier, to be the person who's not going to do that anymore.
Oh, that is just, I cannot wait to get feedback on this podcast. I just know I have like quite a few people who text me almost every time I do, I launch one. And yeah, I think that this will absolutely resonate with everyone. I mean, we've all been in some variation of burnout, some variation of trying to get to that next level and feeling like we're just banging our head against the wall. And you're absolutely right. And how great to have an opportunity either to do coaching with you or to eventually read your book and not just be banging our head against the wall, right? So yeah. Oh, Jen, this has been such a good,
I'm
sorry.
I'm so glad. The goal for the book is to make it very easy, very conversational. And I'm already booking keynotes for the book for 2027. So like my butt better have this book out as soon as possible. trouble because people are already booking me for workshops and for keynotes for next year. But it's the whole point was to not have it convoluted, was to not have it be so contextual that people could actually not just have transformation, but the tools to actually make movement the needle in their lives and in their businesses. So it's going to be conversational. It's going to be easy, but it's also going to be very very meaningful in your life. And so I'm excited to get all of your readers a copy, all of your listeners a copy.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing all of this wonderful wisdom. And I cannot wait to swap books with you at some point. So,
Same, same.
all right. Well, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Mackenzie, and thank everybody for listening.
Thank you so much for listening to Roots and Roofs podcast today. If you loved today's episode, please let me know. I love hearing from you on Instagram and Facebook, so feel free to send me a DM or tag me in your stories so I can share it too. If you're looking for more information about today's topic, please visit my website, mahoganyacres.com, and all of the information that is listed in the show notes below. Until next time.